C'est un plaisir pour moi d'être ici
for me to be here
aujourd'hui.
today, but unfortunately, I'm a former public employee and I will not continue in French.
I can, in desperation, speak French, but as I said, as most of our public servants, they never exactly conquer it. Yes, I was born in Saskatchewan in 1938, the youngest of three boys. My parents had homesteaded 1 mile away from Algrove, which is a siding 400 miles north of Regina. And no, that's quite right. It was a log house with one room in the basement, or one room on the ground floor, and an attic, which I will touch on the attic a little later. One of the difficulties there was we worked on a farm. There was no way we could make pocket money except by doing what we did, which was there was a bounty for gophers and a bounty for crows. So we snared gophers and shot crows whenever we could to get this cash. And we did that in the summer. And we also dug Seneca root, for which you got 15 cents a pound dry and 25 cents a pound, 15 cents a pound green and 25 cents a pound dry. And I found out later in life that this was the material that made the drug Senecot, which is still on the market today. It's from that Seneca root that we dug in the prairies. In the winter, we snared rabbits and trapped weasels, and whose dried skins brought 5 cents and $1.50 respectively. We were lucky to get one weasel a year, but our poor mother was unlucky to have us doing this, because when I would come home from school and check my snare line, I would find frozen rabbits in it, which I would take and set on the metal plate up above in the attic next to the chimney. And rabbits have the habit of expressing themselves as they thaw out. And my mother said, between the expression of the rabbits and the drying skins in the attic, she had to brace herself before she ever went up to change the linen in the place. So that was the advanced nature of my childhood. Anyway, I'll speak about, my parents were very good. They were members of the CCF. And many people think the CCF was a socialist party. It wasn't. It was an agrarian party. It was designed for a rural community, a farm community. And it was an egalitarian party. That was probably the most important thing, just that. And they created stores. I mean, Saskatchewan had to endure Ontario and Quebec over the years, because that's where all the manufacturing was done and where they had to pay the high duty on products coming in from anywhere else if they wanted to buy stuff. Well, the CCF changed this in part because they established co-op stores. And I'm sure as many of you will remember, there were co-op credit unions, co-op refineries, co-op stores, co-op equipment vendors, and any of the money that was, they didn't exactly distribute the profits, but they did give you credit for if they got, if they had some money that they weren't spending on expansion or something, they would allot it to the people who patronized the store, and you would get credit on future purchases. But it was really, the CCF was a natural extension of the constant cooperation there was between farmers anyway. Certainly in northern Saskatchewan, where the land was bad, the swamps were great, and it was very hard to make a living, as it was anywhere else in Saskatchewan during the 30s and the war years. But when the CCF came along, it sort of organized the cooperation of the farmers. There was never a house near Olive Grove that had a lock on it, ever. Nobody locked their doors in there. They trusted their neighbors. Anybody who was butchering, anybody who was going to kill a pig in the summer would make sure that the neighbors knew beforehand for a couple of days so they could come around and get a chunk. Because there's no refrigeration, because there's no electricity. You don't really want to keep it cool just on ice in the ice house, which is what you had. So that was it was mutual cooperation. And where I'm getting on this is, this affected me in my later life. The very nature of the society did. And my parents, for example, helped build the school in Olive Grove. As I said, they were active in the CCF. They were as frequently involved in neighborhood activities as they had been involved in knitting socks and making fruitcakes for people who were at war in the Second World War. And everybody did that. Plus, we collected stones and we collected spruce gum. I never knew why we collected spruce gum until many years later. It has the same coefficient of refraction as quartz glass. It was used in bomb sites and things like that. So for those of you who did end up collecting spruce gum, there was a reason anyway. So as I said, it affected me. And only in later years did I realize how much the activity of the rural culture affected me. The way we created Lee Valley Tools is an example. We have any number of things that we do there. We have a registered pension plan. For education training, Lee Valley pays the fees. If the employees want to take a course at night, we pay the fees. If it's even mildly associated with our business. Employees all get 5 days sick leave a year. They get bereavement leave if there's a death in their family. They can have 3 to 5 days during the mourning period. We don't allow anybody to abuse any of the employees, and that includes customers. I have fired more than one customer for being an animal, and you don't want that kind around. And you just say, they'll say, well, you can't fire me. I say, go get a lawyer and find out. Because we can fire people, and you should be able to fire them from your life anyway. The other thing we do is we provide financial authority. When I worked in the government, in my last job, I had a division where the financial, which had a $2 million financial authority there, or at least a financial kitty. I had a $5 authority to spend that money, by the way. It always had to go up the ladder. So if you, in our stores, anybody who's on the counter or in the service area, whoops, the railway and tar and feathers is coming quickly here, so I'll have to shorten this down. We give them the authority to refund any amount of money to any customer for any reason they think is fair, and we have never had to chastise one of those people in 35 years of business. Which, by the way, we've never had a layoff in 35 years. But probably one of the things I'm proudest of, which is truly sort of the successor to the CCF, we give 25% of our gross profit to our employees. They get the same share, the cleaner gets the same share as I do, and it has made a huge difference in the functioning of the company. We introduced it after about the first 8 or 9 years. We now have employees that are completely vested in the company and if we are looking to reduce, just about 3 seconds left, I'm going to take 10. When we have a cost reduction program, they come on site. And the interesting thing is they often give better suggestions on how to reduce the costs than you get from the senior managers. So you really want that type of employment. And so here now I am going to go a little bit overboard here. What I really wanted to say about Saskatchewan was Saskatchewan is probably the strongest province in Canada right now, the least debt, the people with the best work ethic. And talk about resources, the uranium, the potash, the light sweet crude oil, which every other province would love to have. And I don't know if any of you know this, or all of you know this, Saskatchewan has 50% of Canada's arable land. Half of it is in this province. This is why you can grow all kinds of seeds and other things, because you've got the land and you've been innovative. This is where rock pickers came from. And when I was in the Trade Commissioner service, I was in Chicago at the time, I aligned many of these. There were about 3 rock picker manufacturers in Saskatchewan at that time, and I connected many of them with firms in the U.S. because it was my job. But anyway, what this province has is cooperation in a number of fields. It's a democratic culture where technicians are treated like decent people, not looked down upon. And you go to Eastern, well, certainly I won't include all of Eastern Canada, but go to Ontario, and families all seem to be ashamed of letting their children become technicians. And yet, what do we need? Do we need any more people with bachelors of arts in English and history? No, we don't. But we sure need technicians. And kids who would like to become technicians are being discouraged by parents in many places. Not in Saskatchewan, because most farmers wish they were a technician themselves, and they're certainly not going to stifle their children. And the other thing that this province had, which has made it very strong, and me 2 minutes and 30 over, is that you've had good premiers since the war years. You've had Tommy Douglas, Woodrow Lloyd, Alan Blakeney, Roy Romano, Lorne Calvert, and Brad Wall. How many provinces can say that, yes, there have been a couple of misses in there that I didn't talk about, but you read it all, okay. Anyway, that's meant a great deal for the province, and I think the future of Saskatchewan is a golden one. And I'm proud to have come here. Thank you.